On June 17, 2010, in South Los Angeles, the owner of a well-known pizzeria passed away unexpectedly while working his evening shift. Initially, a preliminary report suggested natural causes, citing a heart attack. However, this raised doubts for Detective Camille Harris, an experienced investigator. In March 2010, Terry Green, a 35-year-old pizza chef, ran Green Gourmet Pies located at 4234 Western Avenue. Originally from the Bronx, Terry moved to Los Angeles in 2000 with only $5,000 and his grandmother's prized pizza recipes. Through hard work and remarkable culinary talent, he turned a struggling pizzeria into a successful neighborhood hub, known for its authentic Italian flavors and friendly atmosphere. His standout creation, the Sunset Supreme Pizza, which featured caramelized onions, smoked mozzarella, and a secret sauce, drew customers from all over the city. The pizzeria's yearly revenue reached $400,000, which, while modest, provided stability, enabling Terry to employ 5 staff members and enjoy a comfortable lifestyle. His commitment to quality and customer service earned him recognition in local newspapers and a loyal clientele. Unbeknownst to Terry, Monique had rekindled a relationship with Darius "Dre" Carter, a 38-year-old nightclub owner with a history of fraud arrests and suspected involvement in drug trafficking. Carter operated the Velvet Lounge on Sunset Strip, a nightclub involved in various illegal activities. Security from the Velvet Lounge later revealed Monique's frequent visits to the venue beginning in January 2010, 3 months before Terry's death. On March 15, 2010, Monique convinced Terry to purchase a $100,000 life insurance policy, citing worries about the pizzeria's future and their financial security. The policy, issued by Pacific Life Insurance, included a double indemnity clause for accidental death. Terry, trusting his wife's judgment, agreed without questioning her motives. The situation reached a peak on June 17, 2010, around 6:45 p.m., when Terry collapsed while working in the kitchen during the dinner rush at Green Gourmet Pies. Despite quick action from staff and customers with medical training and paramedics arriving within 12 minutes, Terry was declared dead at 7:23 p.m. The medical team initially attributed his death to cardiac arrest, noting no signs of foul play. 2 days after Terry's death, Monique visited the Pacific Life Insurance office on Wilshire Boulevard to file a claim for her husband's $100,000 policy. Michael Donovan, a veteran insurance agent with 30 years of experience, was concerned by several factors: the recent purchase of the policy, Terry's young age, and Monique's calm demeanor during the process. Donovan later reported that Monique seemed more focused on how long the claim would take to process than on discussing her husband's death. Following standard protocol for suspicious claims, Donovan contacted the LAPD's Homicide Division. Detective Camille Harris, a 42-year-old investigator with 15 years of experience and a 92% case closure rate, was assigned the case. Harris began her investigation by reviewing the initial death report and the preliminary findings of the medical examiner, which showed no clear cause of death or any pre-existing medical conditions that could explain the sudden cardiac arrest in a healthy 35-year-old. Harris's first round of interviews took place at Green Gourmet Pies. Jasmine Taylor, a 29-year-old sous chef who had worked with Terry for 5 years, provided crucial initial testimony. Taylor explained that Terry had followed his usual routine that day, arriving at 6 a.m. to prepare dough and sauce, and later consumed a slice of his signature Sunset Supreme Pizza about 15 minutes before collapsing. Taylor noted that Terry was in good spirits that day, discussing plans to expand the business and even promising to share his secret sauce recipe with her. A key detail from Taylor's testimony was Monique Green's unexpected visit to the pizzeria that afternoon. Monique, who rarely visited, had claimed that the smell of pizza grease would ruin her designer clothes. According to Taylor's official police interview, Monique spent about 15 minutes near the prep station in the kitchen, reportedly leaving a surprise gift for Terry. Security footage from the pizzeria confirmed Monique's presence and her movements during this time. The investigation took a significant turn when Dr. Robert Chan, the chief medical examiner for Los Angeles County, delivered the toxicology report. The analysis revealed that Terry's blood and tissue samples contained deadly levels of ricin, a potent toxin derived from castor beans. Ricin causes rapid cell death, typically resulting in fatal respiratory and organ failure within 36 to 72 hours of exposure. Dr. Chan's report indicated that the poison had been professionally processed, implying that the person responsible had knowledge of chemical extraction or had access to someone with this expertise. The discovery of ricin was made possible by an observant laboratory technician, James Morton, who noticed unusual cellular deterioration while conducting routine tests. The standard toxicology panel would not have detected ricin without this specific examination. The level of ricin in Terry's system suggested that it had been ingested about 1 to 2 hours before his death, which matched the timeline of his last pizza tasting. Morton's discovery led to a complete re-examination of all tissue samples and stomach contents, prompting Detective Harris to reclassify the case as a homicide investigation. She immediately secured the crime scene at Green Gourmet Pies. A thorough forensic analysis of the kitchen area established a detailed timeline for the events of June 17th. The department also placed a hold on the insurance claim while further inquiries were underway. Forensic teams collected samples from all food preparation surfaces, ingredients, and kitchen tools at the pizzeria. The discovery of ricin poisoning significantly broadened the scope of the investigation. Given ricin's potential use as a biological terrorism agent, Detective Harris requested help from the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. The complexity involved in obtaining and administering the poison indicated premeditation rather than an impulsive act. The FBI's involvement brought in additional resources, including experts in toxicology and chemical weapons. The case quickly became the LAPD's highest priority, with Detective Harris assembling a team of forensic specialists, financial analysts, and surveillance experts. The team started conducting comprehensive background checks on all individuals who had access to the pizzeria's kitchen, focusing particularly on financial records and any suspicious activities. Harris also requested surveillance footage from nearby businesses and traffic cameras to get a complete view of movements around the pizzeria on the day of Terry's death. Initial interviews with the pizzeria's staff and regular customers painted a picture of Terry as a well-liked owner with no known enemies. However, Detective Harris noticed that Monique's behavior during her interview seemed rehearsed, with her responses appearing deliberately crafted to portray herself as a mourning widow. This observation, combined with the suspicious timing of her insurance claim and her presence in the kitchen on the day of Terry's death, made Monique a key figure in the investigation. The use of ricin as the murder weapon raised significant concerns for law enforcement, as it indicated a level of planning and sophistication rarely seen in domestic homicides. A major breakthrough occurred when analyzing surveillance footage from businesses near the Velvet Lounge, an upscale nightclub on Sunset Strip. The footage revealed multiple visits by Monique to the venue between January and June 2010, with especially frequent visits in the weeks leading up to Terry's death. The Velvet Lounge's owner, Darius Dre Carter, 38, had an extensive criminal history. FBI records showed 3 prior arrests, one for fraud in 1995, another for suspected drug trafficking in 2000, and a third for illegal gambling operations in 2005. While Carter had never been convicted of any major charges, he was known to have connections with several organized crime figures in Los Angeles. The nightclub, which opened in 2017, showed troubling financial patterns suggesting possible money laundering activities. Further investigation into Monique's bank records uncovered a crucial piece of evidence: a $2,000 withdrawal from her joint account with Terry on June 15th, 2 days before his death. This amount was traced to a deposit of the same sum into the Velvet Lounge's business account on June 16th. When questioned about this transaction, Carter initially claimed it was payment for a private event booking. However, no record of such an event could be found. Surveillance footage from the Velvet Lounge's security cameras, obtained through a warrant, showed frequent private meetings between Monique and Carter in his office. The most significant footage, dated June 10th, depicted a 45-minute meeting where both appeared to be engaged in a serious discussion, with Monique handing Carter an envelope. Lip-reading experts from the FBI analyzed the footage, though much of the conversation was inaudible due to the camera angles. Detective Harris conducted separate interviews with both suspects. Monique, interviewed at the LAPD Central Division, continued to maintain her role as a grieving widow. She insisted that her visits to the Velvet Lounge were purely social and part of her effort to establish herself in Los Angeles' entertainment scene. When confronted with the surveillance footage and financial transactions, Monique claimed the money was for legitimate business purposes, but couldn't provide specific details. In contrast, Carter's interview, conducted at his nightclub, revealed inconsistencies in his statements. He initially denied any relationship with Monique beyond casual acquaintance, claiming she was merely a regular customer. However, when presented with evidence of their meetings and the financial transaction, Carter's demeanor shifted. He became defensive and requested legal representation before continuing the interview. Harris's team uncovered additional financial ties through their investigation. Bank records showed frequent cash deposits into Carter's personal account, ranging from $500 to $1,500, coinciding with Monique's visits to the club. Local law enforcement intelligence suggested that Carter's nightclub served as a cover for various illegal operations. A confidential informant reported regular drug transactions and high-stakes gambling taking place in the club's VIP areas, providing Carter with connections to individuals who could obtain illegal substances, possibly including the ricin used in Terry's murder. The investigation also revealed that Carter had recently faced financial difficulties. Tax records indicated a 40% decrease in the Velvet Lounge's legitimate income over the previous year. While Carter maintained a lavish lifestyle, including a Beverly Hills mansion and several luxury vehicles. This financial strain provided a potential motive for his involvement in Terry's murder, with the insurance payout offering a possible solution to his monetary troubles. The investigation into Terry Green's death took another significant turn when Detective Harris traced the source of the ricin to Natural Oils and Herb Supply, a wholesale supplier based in Vernon, an industrial area on the outskirts of Los Angeles. Company records showed that on March 15th, Sarah Johnson made a purchase of 5 pounds of castor beans, presenting seemingly legitimate documents for a cosmetics manufacturing business. Surveillance footage from the supplier's security system revealed that the buyer was, in fact, Monique Green, who was dressed in jeans, a baseball cap, and sunglasses, a stark contrast to her usual attire. The footage showed her arriving in a rented Honda Civic instead of her usual Mercedes-Benz, suggesting an effort to conceal her identity. The rental car was traced back to an agency in Glendale, where Monique had used a fake ID and paid in cash. Ramon Hernandez, the supplier's owner, provided a detailed statement about the transaction, explaining that the buyer appeared to know a great deal about castor oil production and its use in cosmetics. She presented forged business licenses and manufacturing permits that were later found to have been purchased on the dark web for $3,000. Detective Harris's investigation into Monique's movements on June 17th revealed a carefully constructed, yet ultimately flawed, alibi. While Monique claimed to have been shopping at various Beverly Hills boutiques between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m., surveillance footage from those locations showed no sign of her presence. Instead, cell phone tower data placed her phone near Green's Gourmet Pies at approximately 5:15 p.m. Phone records revealed 6 calls between Monique and Darius Carter between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. on the day of the murder. The final call, lasting 12 minutes, occurred just before Monique appeared at the pizzeria. When questioned about these calls, both Monique and Carter provided conflicting explanations. Monique stated they were discussing event planning, while Carter claimed they were talking about club promotions. Jasmine Taylor's additional testimony became crucial in uncovering the method of poisoning. In a detailed account, Taylor remembered Monique entering the kitchen at 5:15 p.m. with a Victoria's Secret shopping bag, claiming she had bought Terry a surprise gift. Monique stayed near the prep station for at least 10 minutes, where the pizza dough for the Sunset Supreme Pizza was kept. Taylor, who was focused on chopping vegetables, recalled seeing Monique handle something near the dough mixture for the dish. Taylor also noted Monique's unusual behavior, describing her as nervous, frequently looking over her shoulder. When Taylor offered help, Monique jumped before quickly leaving. She placed what looked like an empty perfume box on Terry's desk before exiting hurriedly, which was odd since she usually said goodbye to everyone. Forensic analysis of the prep station, after the discovery of ricin, revealed trace amounts of the toxin in a dough mixing bowl. The investigation determined that the poison was introduced into a specific batch of dough used for the Sunset Supreme Pizza, which Terry personally tasted each evening before dinner service. Surveillance footage from a Shell gas station on Florence Avenue showed Monique buying latex gloves and a small plastic container at 2:30 p.m. on the day of the murder. These items were later discovered in her car's trunk, and the container tested positive for ricin residue. The gloves also showed traces of both ricin and pizza dough. A search of Monique's laptop, seized during the investigation, uncovered deleted browsing history revealing searches for ricin extraction methods and lethal dosages, dating back to February, indicating long-term planning. The laptop also contained encrypted communications with an unknown individual discussing poison extraction techniques. Detective Harris pieced together a timeline showing how Monique had methodically planned the murder over several months, researching the poison, acquiring materials under false pretenses, selecting the delivery method, and choosing the right moment for maximum effectiveness. The evidence painted a picture of a premeditated murder involving a deep understanding of Terry's routines and habits. The breakthrough in Terry Green's murder investigation came during Detective Harris's third interview with Darius Carter at the LAPD Central Division. After 4 hours of questioning and being confronted with overwhelming evidence, Carter's previously constructed story began to fall apart. In exchange for consideration in charging, he provided a detailed confession about his relationship with Monique and their involvement in Terry's murder. Carter revealed that Monique first approached him about killing Terry in April 2010 during a late-night meeting at the Velvet Lounge. She outlined her plan to collect on Terry's life insurance policy. According to Carter's statement, Monique complained about feeling trapped in her marriage to Terry, describing how his lifestyle couldn't support her desires. She believed the $100,000 insurance payout would give them the funds to expand the Velvet Lounge and start a new life together. Carter explained that the $2,000 transfer was Monique's way of ensuring his participation in the plot. She called it a down payment for their future together. Carter admitted that he hadn't taken her seriously at first, but after the money transfer, he realized she was committed. He claimed he tried to distance himself from the plan but feared that Monique would implicate him in other illegal activities if he refused to cooperate. After Carter's confession, forensic analysis of Monique's Mercedes-Benz revealed crucial evidence. Investigators found latex gloves and a small plastic container with traces of ricin under the passenger seat. The FBI lab in Quantico confirmed that the chemical signature of the ricin matched that found in Terry's system. Surveillance footage from the Shell gas station further corroborated the purchase of these items 2 hours before Terry's death. When confronted with this evidence in a formal interview, Monique's behavior drastically changed. Her calm demeanor gave way to increasingly erratic responses. She accused Carter of orchestrating the entire scheme, claiming he had threatened to expose compromising information about her past if she didn't cooperate. However, her story contradicted the physical evidence and witness testimonies. Further investigation revealed Monique's pattern of deceit. Interviews with her former modeling colleagues showed she had fabricated much of her career success. The knee injury that supposedly ended her modeling career was exposed as a cover story for being dropped by her agency due to unprofessional conduct and substance abuse issues. The investigation also uncovered evidence that Monique had tried to create an alibi by forging a false paper trail. She convinced an employee at a Beverly Hills boutique to claim she was shopping there during the time of the murder, offering a share of the insurance money in exchange for the false testimony. The employee, facing possible criminal charges, later cooperated with investigators. Carter's attorney negotiated a plea deal, agreeing to his full cooperation in exchange for a reduced sentence. His testimony provided critical details about Monique's planning and execution of the murder, including recordings of conversations where Monique discussed various methods of killing Terry before choosing poison as the least detectable option. Detective Harris's investigation also uncovered an additional motivation for Monique beyond the insurance payout. Text messages recovered from a hidden phone showed she had been planning to eliminate Carter after receiving the insurance money, ensuring she would be the sole beneficiary and removing any risk of blackmail. The trial of Monique Green and Darius Carter began on January 10, 2011, at the Los Angeles County Superior Court. Assistant District Attorney Leona Miller led the prosecution, presenting a meticulously constructed case that showcased the calculated nature of Terry Green's murder. The 3-week trial garnered significant media attention, with national news outlets covering the proceedings daily. The prosecution's opening statement outlined a premeditated plot driven by greed and deception. Miller presented a timeline of events, starting with Monique's careful groundwork, the insurance policy purchase, the acquisition of ricin and materials, and coordination with Carter. Bank records demonstrated a pattern of financial manipulation, including the strategic $2,000 payment to Carter and multiple cash withdrawals designed to evade detection. Jasmine Taylor's testimony was particularly impactful. She provided a detailed account of Monique's unusual behavior in the pizzeria's kitchen on the day of the murder. Her testimony was backed by security footage that showed Monique's suspicious movements near the prep station. The jury appeared visibly affected as Taylor described Terry's final moments and his plans for the business's future. Forensic evidence formed the foundation of the prosecution's case. FBI toxicologist Dr. Sarah Stanford presented a thorough analysis of the ricin found in Terry's system, Monique's car, and the pizzeria's prep station. Dr. Stanford explained how the poison was specially prepared and dosed to ensure a delayed but lethal effect, underscoring the killer's careful planning. The defense strategies for both defendants created a courtroom atmosphere of mutual accusation. Monique's attorney, James Richardson, argued that she was a victim of Carter's manipulation, claiming he had coerced her into the plot by threatening to expose compromising details about her past. Carter's defense team, led by Michael Brooks, portrayed him as an unwitting participant in Monique's scheme. Digital evidence was especially damaging to Monique's defense. Computer forensics expert Timothy Wong testified about deleted searches on Monique's laptop regarding ricin extraction and lethal dosages. Cell phone records showed extensive communication between the two defendants, contradicting their claims of minimal contact. On January 25th, the prosecution revealed its strongest evidence: text messages recovered from a second phone found in Monique's safety deposit box. These messages, exchanged with an unidentified contact, detailed plans to eliminate Carter after collecting the insurance money. "Once we get the payout, Dre becomes a liability. I have a plan to handle it," one message read, dated 2 days before Terry's murder. The jury deliberated for 48 hours before reaching a verdict. Monique Green was found guilty of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted murder related to her plans for Carter. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 25 years for the conspiracy charges. Carter, having cooperated with the prosecution and testified against Monique, received a reduced sentence of 20 years for conspiracy and accessory to murder. His testimony about Monique's elaborate planning and manipulation was instrumental in securing her conviction. The court also ordered both defendants to pay restitution to Terry's estate. The discovery of Monique's plan to murder Carter led to additional charges. The text messages revealed a wider conspiracy involving an unknown accomplice, prompting an ongoing investigation. The prosecution suggested that Monique's ultimate goal had been to eliminate all witnesses and claim both the insurance payout and Carter's nightclub business. During sentencing, Judge Richard Martinez described the murder as a calculated act of evil, driven by greed and a callous disregard for human life. He particularly noted the betrayal of trust involved in using Terry's own passion, his pizzeria, as the weapon. The judge also commended Detective Harris and the prosecution team for their thorough investigation and presentation of evidence.